All right, good morning. How's everybody doing today? Can everyone hear me just fine?
I can hear you.
All right, thanks, Sarah. I see we got some more people trickling in. All right, well, it's 11:30, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone to our very first webinar Wednesday. We're going to be doing these sessions every 2 weeks, and each time we meet, we're going to focus on a different topic that's specific and related to Plus. So today we're talking about the household appliance permit with the building module. And before we get started, we're going to go through a real quick technical orientation to make sure everyone can participate fully in today's session. So let's begin. Just hopefully everyone can hear me just fine. The webinar has started. If you're having any issues with your audio, please check your internet connection. And something else we recommend is you can sign out and sign in again. So sometimes it's just that refresh is all the system needs, and then everything is working a lot better. All participants have been muted for this session, so we do ask that you send your questions and comments in through the chat. So where can you find your chat? Well, if you're joining from a computer, you're going to find your questions at the bottom of your control panel. You can type questions and comments in there and send them our way. And if you're joining from a mobile device and you're using the app, you will have an icon that looks like a question mark. And if you tap that icon, you'll be able to send questions and comments our way. Now, please note your questions and comments are private, meaning only myself and the other presenters are able to see them. We'll be looking at those through the whole session and responding throughout. So please send those as often as you have questions. This session is for you. We want to make sure we address any questions you may have. Now, this is also a good time to stop and let you know that we have a handout for today's session. So you don't have to try to memorize everything. So this is what that handout looks like. You should be seeing on your screen right now. This is a quick reference guide. It summarizes everything we're talking about. So after the session today, when you do go to submit a household appliance application through Plus, you will have this here to help support you through every step of the way. So how do you find that application? Well, it's going to be right where we had our questions in our chat. So I'm just pulling that up again. So you should now see the screen now. And so we have our questions there, but if you're on the computer, you're going to access your handout above where the questions are. You'll see a place there where you can download that document. And if you're using the app, there's an icon that looks like a document that you could click to download. Now, if you're having any issues accessing this, you can't see it, the download isn't working, at the end of the session today, we will be sending out an email summarizing the information, and it will also have that attachment there. So you'll be able to get it that way as well. So my name is Rachel Martin, and I am a training specialist with the Plus Project. I'll be facilitating our conversation today. And in the 45 minutes we have together, we're going to talk about when you would apply for a household appliance permit. We're going to do a whole demonstration of the process from beginning to end, including how to schedule that inspection. So before we jump into our information today, I'll pause here and see if anybody has any questions. And this is a good place to also note that when you registered for the session, you had an opportunity to send us questions ahead of time. We did review all those questions, and we're confident we're going to answer all of them throughout the session today. But of course, if we don't answer them or you have anything more specific we didn't cover, feel free to send that through the chat. So I'm just checking here. I don't see any questions coming in, so we'll go ahead and keep going. So we're going to begin with when you would apply for that household appliance permit. So this is for the replacement of appliances, and that includes fuel-fired appliances. So another way to think about this is it's for jobs that would require only a final inspection when the work has been completed. So I will pause here for a minute because that's the information we have to share about when to apply. But we did get some specific questions about this, so I'll wait just a minute and see if anyone had anything more specific that this information does not cover. And if not, we'll keep going. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions come through, but again, feel free to keep sending those throughout this session. You can ask any question at any time. So before we jump into our demonstration today, I did want to also mention that we're going to briefly talk about the entire application process and how it works. So with Plus, you would submit the application online through our Plus system. When that has been successfully submitted, you would be able to pay your fees also through Plus. Once those fees have been paid, your permit is automatically issued and available through the Plus system. You can access it automatically, download it directly from Plus. Once that permit is issued, you then have the ability to schedule your inspection. And once that inspection is complete and has been passed, the record will close. So that is the entire process beginning and to end. It's meant to be customer driven and give you a lot of control over when you can apply, when you can pay your fees, when you get that permit, and when you can schedule that inspection. So what we're going to do now is this application has actually been available in the Plus system since January of this year. So we do already have an idea of different questions that people may have. So as we go through the demonstration, these are a few things we're going to focus on: how to enter that project address, what that add a row button is and how you use it, and of course, how to input your license and document information. If you have any questions throughout the process, go ahead and send them in the chat. And also here to help us with questions today is Sarah Player. She is a business analyst with Land Development Services, and she has been working with Plus for the past couple years to configure the building records to work with this new Plus system, and that includes the household appliance record. So Sarah, thank you so much for being here with us today.
My pleasure.
Wonderful. All right. So what I'm going to do now, I still don't see any questions coming in, so we'll go ahead and jump into our demonstration. I'm going to stop sharing my webcam so we can just focus on the actual Plus site today and really look at that application. So let me pull up the Plus website for you here. So I'm going to share my screen again. This is what the Plus site looks like, and I'm going to put this in the questions and send this out to everybody. Just so that you have this link. If you'd like to follow along, you certainly can, but there is no pressure to do that. There we go. All right, so if you have that link, you can go ahead and open that, and you can open up Plus and you can follow along with us, but you can also just watch this demonstration. This is being recorded, and we will be able to watch this at a later time and go through it step by step. Now, what I'm going to be using today is what we call the training environment. So you'll notice that it's exactly the same, but we do have this text at the top that says Plus Training Environment. So this lets me do demonstrations and submit applications without actually sending them to any of our staff. So I just want to let you know this is what I'm using today, but you do not have to worry if you don't see this text at the top. You are not supposed to. Everything is going to look exactly the same for you. This is the actual Plus website. You should not see red text at the top. This is just for demonstration purposes today. So when you get to our Plus site, you would need to log in order to create and submit an application. So I'm going to go ahead and log in now. If you have questions about how to create an account or how to log in, we will be sending resources at the end of this webinar to videos and different resources that will help you answer some of those questions. We unfortunately just don't have time to go through all of that in this session. So when you log in, you should see your name, and this is just a placeholder name that I use for demonstrations here. And the thing to know about Plus is that it's organized by module. So we have all of these different module tabs along the top, and each module has their own applications. So since this is a building application, we would want to go ahead and click building so that we can access that household appliance application. And as soon as I click building, immediately under that tab, I'm going to see this link for create an application. So I'll go ahead and click that link. And the first thing I'll need to do is accept the terms and conditions here and then click continue application. So when people get to this screen, this can be a little confusing because you see these different headers here, but you're not actually seeing any of the applications. So these are actually categories, and if you click this, it's going to open up any applications that are under this category. So I can click the text, or I can click the arrow to open and close these different categories. So under residential, this is where we're going to find household appliance. So all I would have to do is click that circle and then click continue application. So all of those steps we did until this point were just to find the application. And now we actually have the application open. I know this is the application because the name is right here at the top. And I have this step tracker immediately under that name that gives me an idea of what types of information this application is going to ask me for and what the process is going to look like. So think of this as a page of the application. So right now we're in step 1 right here. And this first page is asking for that location information. So everything I'm entering on this page has to do with the location. And the first thing we have right here is the project address. Now, this is an area where people can run into a few issues. And I think that's because you can see with project address, we have all these different fields. But you can see that the only two pluses requiring are the street number and the street name. And I know that because there's the red asterisk by these. And there's also this button down here that says search. So Plus is designed to use geographic information systems to search matching addresses and pull that information of that known address directly into your application. So if I were to go ahead and fill out the street number, the street name, the street type, the city, the state, the zip, if I filled everything out, it's possible that the information I am putting in would not be an exact match with the known address that's in the system. And then Plus would have a hard time and would tell us that there's no matching address or you would get some type of error. So I think of it this way, let Plus do the work for you and only give Plus the information it's asking for. So we just want to put in our street number and our street name. And to have even more success, what I tend to do is put in a partial street number and a partial street name. And then I click search. I let Plus do the work for me. And I get this pop-up window that tells me these are all the matching known addresses that Plus has found from the geographic information system. And then I can select which one is the most appropriate address for my project. So for this example, I'm using the address of the Harity building at the Government Center. And once I select it by clicking that circle right there, it's going to give me additional information that has been found related to this address, such as the parcel and the associated owner. To put this information into my application, I would click this button right here that says select. So once I click select, we're going to see all of that information now auto-populate into my application. So there is all the address information, and here is the parcel and the owner. Now, one part I scrolled over was right here, the tenant location details. And under each section, you'll sometimes find information that helps explain what this section is for. So this is for a building number, floor number, suite number, if you wanted to be more specific than the information that has been placed here. I can simply click add a row, and I'm going to get another pop-up window that allows me to enter things like building number, floor number, or suite number. Now, I'm not going to enter anything for this. I just wanted to explain what that was, but we're going to see this add a row button again later on in the application. So let's go ahead and scroll down and finish this first page of our application by answering these two questions. So the first question, are you the property owner? For this example, we're going to pretend that we are the contractor submitting this application on behalf of the homeowner. So we have, are you the property owner? I'm going to say no. And then, is the displayed owner information accurate? So that's referring to this information here that was pulled from what was on file. Is this accurate? This might not be accurate if your homeowner recently purchased their home and perhaps the system hasn't been updated to reflect that change. So you could say yes or no. For this example, I'm going to say yes. If you say no, Plus is going to ask you for some additional information related to that change later in the application. So I'm going to say yes, it's accurate, and I will click continue application down here so that I can move on to the next page. Now, before I click that, you will also see on every page of the application this save and resume later. So you have the option to save this application and open it at a later time if you're not able to complete it in one setting. So let's go ahead and continue to page 2 of our application. And page 2 is still step 1, where we're on location, people, and detail. And right now, we're asking for contact information. So on the previous page, we did our location information, and now we're adding information about our contacts. So the first thing to look at is we're asking for the applicant and the on-site contact. So the applicant is who's filling out this application, and the on-site contact would be who is going to be on site when the inspection takes place, because we want to make sure we have contact information for that person. So for the applicant, since I am the contractor, I'm submitting this, I'm going to click this button here that's really handy, select from account. And what this lets me do is I can select my own information that's saved in my account, and it also gives me the associated owner information. So I'm going to go ahead and select my own information as the applicant, and I'll click continue. Plus is asking, is this the right address? I'm saying yes, I'm going to continue. And then just like we saw for project address, that information is now placed into my application. Now for on-site contact, if you click select from account, you might be the on-site contact. The associated owner might be the on-site contact. So you could select either one of these and continue just like you saw us do before. But I want to show you a different example if you were to click add new, because these contacts, neither one of them is going to be your on-site contact. You want to add somebody else in there. So let's go ahead and click this add new button so you can see what that would look like. So if I click add new, it's going to ask me for the contact information for this on-site contact. So the first thing is the individual or organization. I'm going to select individual, and then I'm going to fill in the information of everything Plus is asking me for. So I have to put in a first name, last name, a phone number, and an email address. And then I'm not done yet because I have this button here that says add contact address. This is required. So I'm going to click add contact address and I'm going to type in the address for this contact. And then I'll click save and close. And once I do that, I'll get that green confirmation text that says that address was successfully added. All of my other required information is still there. So at this point, I can click continue. And I'm going to see that new contact added on on-site contact. So I have now added my applicant and I have added my on-site contact. So on this page of the application, I also have a question at the bottom. Are you acting as your own contractor? So this right now is showing as no, and that is correct for our example because a contractor has been hired for this project. If the homeowner is submitting this application and they are acting as their own contractor, they would put yes here. So this is correct. And we are now going to continue on to the next page of this application by clicking Continue Application. So now I'm still in step one, but what it's asking me for now is my application information. So at this point, I've given Plus my location information and my contact information, but now this is information that's really specifically related to this application for Household Appliance. So you're not required to put a project name, but you can if it helps you organize your own records. So I might put something like Doe residence. And then for the project description, this is really asking about what type of work are you doing. So on this project, this is going to be a gas water heater and a central AC. And if I come down, there are a few items here related to project details. You can put in the estimated cost, what type of structure this is. And then this is the part where you're putting in the information. We see those add a row buttons again about what work you're actually doing for this project. So we have fuel fired appliance here and miscellaneous appliance details here. So let's begin with fuel fired because I am doing a gas water heater. And if I click add a row, it gives me the ability to say how many of a type of appliance I'm doing and do this drop down to select the type where I have water heater gas here. And then I would click submit. And once I do that, you can see that the quantity and the description has now been populated with the information I added. So now I'm going to go down to miscellaneous and I'm going to add my AC because that's what I also put in my description. That's what we're doing in this example project. And I'll click submit. So I have the quantity of one and the AC central system added. Now, this is a good place to also mention that with one household appliance application and permit, you can have up to 4 appliances, and that can be for fuel fired, for miscellaneous, or any combination of the two. Once you get past 4, you would need to submit a new household appliance application for those additional appliances. So now I have all my project information entered here. Everything looks good. If I'm looking at this and I'm realizing that I made a mistake, you can see along here where it says quantity 1, water heater gas. On the far right, I have an actions option here that I can click and I can edit or I can delete this. So you do have that ability to make those edits before you continue or go back at any time while you're working on the application and edit that. So let's go ahead and continue the application to the next section. And now we're on licenses and documents. So because this is a demonstration, I do not want to share anyone's personal information. So I'm just going to talk through this part and then jump into a different example. So when you're doing licensed professional and you click look up, similar to what we saw with the address information, Plus is working against the DPOR system to pull this information. So notice that here, the only thing that's required is your state license number. You would enter that here, and then you would click Save and Close. And Plus is going to take this state license number and search against DPOR to fill in all of this information here. Now, if for any reason Plus gives you an error message and it's not finding your information, make sure you typed in your state license number correctly. And if you did type it in correctly, you're still having issues, that's when you would need to contact our customer service so they can help you figure out what that issue might be. The next license you would need to enter is your B poll. So you do have several questions here because there are different scenarios with B polls. So maybe you have a temporary license, maybe you have an exemption, whatever it is. And Plus is designed to be dynamic. So whatever you click, the questions will alter. So I'll show you here. If you say, do you have a Fairfax County business license? And you say yes, this application will change and will ask you to enter your master account number. Now, your master account number is your account number that you would see on your BPOL certificate, and it's going to be in the upper left-hand corner. It's a 9-digit number, and you would enter it here without any dashes. So I am going to pause here for a second so that I can open up a new application so I can jump ahead to the next section and show you what it looks like to add in your documents. Does anyone have any questions? I haven't seen anything come through in the chat at this point. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions, so I'm going to go ahead. And now you'll see that on the screen, we are still in our household appliance application. We have step 2, and now we're looking at documents. So in this example, I've already submitted my license information, and I click continue application, and now I'm on documents. Now, there are no required documents for household appliance, but there are conditionally required documents. And that means depending on what information you supplied in your application, you may need to require a little bit of documentation. So in our example, I am a contractor submitting this on behalf of the homeowner. So I would need a permit authorization to say that I do have the authorization to do this work. So to add a document here, I'm going to click Add. And then I get this file upload that's going to let me search my computer for my file. I'm going to click Add again. And what I'm going to do is find my document, which is right here, my permit authorization. And I'm going to open that. And then I'm going to click Continue. And what I'll see is that permit authorization is showing here, but I'm not quite done yet. I have to tell Plus what type of document this is so that that can be organized properly on the back end for our staff. So this is a permit authorization. I have the option to enter a description if I want. I do not have to, and I would click Save. And now I can see that permit authorization is there. It's been processed, and I can now continue my application. Now you might be wondering, well, how do I know if documentation is required if I do have to submit that conditional documentation? So if you tried to continue the application without submitting documentation that was required, Plus would actually give you an error message and tell you, you need to submit a permit authorization or you need to submit this. It would tell you exactly what you need and you'd be able to add it at that point. So I'm going to click Continue Application. And this takes me to step 3, which is review. Now, I'm not going to scroll all the way down because there is license information in this application that I don't want to share, but you could scroll all the way down on this page, review all of your information, and if everything looks good, you can click continue application. If something does not look good, you have these options to edit on the sides and jump to that part in the application and make those changes. So I am going to go ahead and click continue application. And what I'll see at this point is the application is going to be submitted. If it takes a while, that's usually a good sign that everything went through. So here we go here. So we have that great confirmation here that says, thank you for using our online services. A confirmation email will follow. So that means everything went through, everything worked. You have your record number here, and you also have a link here to pay your fees. Now, it could be easy to miss this link. Maybe you don't see it. Maybe you're not ready to pay your fees yet. That's not a problem at all. You can log into Plus at any time and go to your Home tab and click this My Records here. And you're going to see that application we were just working on, and the status now says waiting for payment. And on this action column, it says pay fees due. Now, another option you have here is to give your homeowner this record number, or you could share this record number with whoever is actually going to be paying these fees. And with this record number, you can simply put this record number into the global search that you find in your upper right-hand corner and click search. And that's going to redirect us to the record summary page. So I can see that this is my record number. This is my little information that I put there. It says what type of application this is. It says the record status is waiting for payment. So I can see right here it says work location. But if I click this payments drop down and I click fees, work location has now changed to fees, and my fees are now showing right here. So it's showing the amount, and I can click pay fees right here. Now, Sarah, I am seeing some questions come through, and someone asked the permit fee is based on how many appliances in one single application. Is that correct, Sarah?
Oh, sorry, I didn't see any of those questions come through. Um, that is an excellent question. Give me 1 second just to confirm that.
Okay, great. So while Sarah's confirming, I'm going to click pay fees here. And you're going to see the fee broken down into the different pieces, and you would click checkout. Now, checkout is going to redirect you to our third-party payment system. It's very similar to how you would process really any online payment now. So I'm not actually going to demonstrate the payment piece of this, how you would actually submit the credit card and all of that, but this is how you get there to pay those fees. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my Home tab and click My Records. And what I have done for this webinar is I have created a different application that the fees have already been paid to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and open this record. And what we can see now is the record status has been updated to issued. And if I click payments and fees, it tells me that total paid fees, that this is now paid. So this is all done. And remember, when you pay your fees, your permit is automatically issued. So if you have this issued status, that means your fees have been successfully paid. And I'm sorry, Sarah, did you have an answer for
Nope,
that?
that's okay. I do have the update. Yes, that is correct. The fee amount is dependent on the number of appliances.
Perfect. Okay, thank you so much.
Mhm.
All right, so your question might be now, okay, so my fees are paid and it says issued, but where do I find this permit? So if you go into this record info dropdown right here and click this, you see different options here. And the one you want to go to is attachments. And when you click attachments, you're going to see that permit authorization that we uploaded during the application process. And you're also going to see your permit card right there. So all you would have to do is click this hyperlink to download that permit card and you would be able to open it. I'm not going to open that one there because it does have license information on it and I don't want to share that in this webinar, but that is how you would access that. So that is the whole process up to accessing the permit. And what we are going to do now is go to our scheduling the inspection and talk about that piece of the process. And we have about 10 minutes left. So we're going to keep pushing through. I see a few questions have come in. And Sarah, I'm not sure if you could take a look at those and maybe type answers directly. And we can also try to answer those at the
I'm
end.
sorry, Rachel, I'm not seeing any of the questions. I can see the chat, but I can't see questions.
Okay, not a problem. We'll get to those at the
Yeah.
end then. Not a problem. I just want to make sure we cover those. So let's go ahead. Joining us
If
today
if
also.
anyone, sorry, just if anyone wants to re-enter their question into the chat, I can definitely work on answering them there.
Okay, so we have, in addition to Sarah, we have Bill Dougherty joining us today. He's an inspector supervisor with Land Development Services. And like Sarah, he's been working on this Plus project for a while now, helping to configure building records for this new system. So Bill, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Great. All right, so we're going to talk about scheduling the inspection and the three things we're going to talk about. And I do see some questions related to this, so I hope we're going to cover this for you in just a minute here. The first thing to know is that you can schedule the inspection as soon as your permit has been issued. If a chimney vent certification is required for your project, you would need to upload that into Plus before you schedule your inspection. And we're going to show you how to do that. And then we're also going to show you how to actually schedule your inspection in Plus. So I don't want you to worry. I know we only have about 10 minutes left, but these processes are actually easier than they might appear. So let's talk about that chimney vent certification requirement. If a chimney vent certification is required for your household appliance, like we mentioned before, this would need to be submitted to Plus before scheduling the final inspection. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we would do that. It's really actually very simple once you know where it is located. So now you should be seeing the same screen we were just on, where this is our record summary for our appliance that has been issued. There's the permit card we were just talking about. And there is this button right here that says add. So all you would have to do is click add to enter your chimney vent certification into Plus. But before we show you how to add it, let's show you where you can actually find it. So if you go to our Plan to Build website, and I'm going to put this here for everybody to see. So hopefully everyone just got this link. This is our Plan to Build website, and hopefully this looks familiar to most of you. There's a lot of great information on this site, sort of a one-stop shop for lots of processes related to building in Fairfax County. And there's this section right here that says Forms and Publications. So we can click the Forms and Publications library, and that takes us to the search where I can type in chimney, and I can see the first one that comes up is this chimney vent certification for household appliance. And this is what that form looks like. So I can fill in my information, I can save this, and then I can upload it to Plus. So once I have all that information filled out, I can go back to Plus. And again, this is the record summary page. I'm in the record info dropdown in the attachment section. I see my permit card right here. I would click add, And I have that same file upload that I saw while I was in my application, but this gives me the ability to add a document after my application has already been submitted. So I would click add here, and here's my chimney vent certification that I had filled out and saved previously. I'm going to click continue. I have to tell Plus what type of document this is so that it's organized nicely for staff on our back end. I can enter a description if I want to, and I can click save. And now I see that chimney vent certification is now showing in my attachments, and staff are automatically going to be able to see this in the back end of Plus. So the inspector in particular, when they come to your job site and perform this inspection, they will be able to pull that up and take a look at that and complete the inspection. So if you need the chimney vent certification, those are the steps you have to go through, but not all projects require this. So let's say you're now ready to schedule your inspection. Well, the record summary page is where you can complete most of your actions, and plus it's very easy to use. If I go to this record info dropdown, I can now see this one right here that says inspections. So if I click this, you're going to see that this attachments is going to change and say inspections. So let's see that. And now it says inspections, it says upcoming, and I have a link right here for schedule or request an inspection. I also have this text here that tells me you have not added any inspections, so you can be sure that no inspections have been scheduled. And it also says here there are no completed inspections on this record, because like we said before, you can give your homeowner this record number, they can put it in the global search, and they can schedule this inspection. And they can do all of that without having a Plus account. So that is another way you could do this. But from here, we would click the schedule or request inspection. And we can select what day we would like this to take place. And when we select the day, you're given the time options, and it's always going to say all day. On the day of your inspection, the on-site contact would receive an email giving you a more specific window, but at this point in the process, we're not able to give a more specific window. So you would select your preferred day and click continue. This is going to ask you to verify that this location is correct and that the contact is correct. So if these are not correct, you can have the option to specify another person, or you can select an existing contact. So here I had that Jane Doe that I also added, so I can make those changes there as needed. But look at this, make sure this is all correct. If it is, we would click continue. You have the option to give additional comments here. If there's a specific entrance that should be used or anything like that, you can do that here and then click finish. So once you click finish, it's going to confirm that your inspection has been scheduled. So if I scroll down to the inspections, it now says upcoming and there's a number 1 there. It says the day at TBD for the time, and it tells me who my inspector is going to be. So that is the entire process of the household appliance permit that we have been able to walk through. And I see there have been a couple questions in here, but it looks like we've answered all of them. There is one question here about the authorization letter that I don't know if Bill or Sarah could answer, but it says, is authorization letter required when you're using a licensed contractor? Because the thought was that this typically was not required.
I believe yes, it is. That is a new requirement.
Got it. Okay, thank you. All right, so that is the entire process. It looks like we've answered all the questions. So in the minute that we have left, I just want to give you a little bit information about next steps. So at the end of this webinar, you will be receiving an email from me with links and the handout of everything we discussed today. I will also be putting that link to the chimney vent certification form in there, as well as additional resources. We do have, this is the actual website for the Plus system at the top here, where you can go and you can create and submit your applications. This will also be included in that email. We have a support website that is a place that curates all of the different resources we have available for Plus. You can register for webinars there. You can access other resources and how-to guides. So that's a really great resource for you as you're getting to use Plus a little bit more. We also have a YouTube channel where we have been creating videos that are targeted to specific processes in Plus. So we have a great video about how to create an account. We have a video about how to enter your project address, how to upload documents, how to pay fees. So if you want to check out our YouTube channel, there's a lot of really great content there for you. We're going to include that in the email as well. This webinar has been recorded. All of our webinars will be recorded and they're going to be available at this website. You'll be able to access that at any time. We do have 2 more webinars scheduled at this point, and we're going to be adding more because we're going to have these every other Wednesday for the foreseeable future. So our next topics are getting a little more basic, a general overview of the Plus system, as well as general searching tips. So please feel free to register for those. I will include that in the session in the email. And that is all of our information. When you close the webinar, you are going to have a survey pop up asking you about your webinar experience. If you do have any specific questions or feedback, we would love for you to take like 2 minutes to fill out that survey really quickly. It'll help make sure that we can make these webinars more effective in the future. I do see one question before we close. Someone's asking if we're going to have trainings for zoning specifically. So we are working with all of the different modules to have sessions targeted towards different applications or processes that are specific to them. So we don't have any coming up for zoning in the near future, but we are working with everyone to make sure we get around and get everybody on the schedule at some point. So you can keep checking our website and we'll be updating our upcoming sessions there. All right, so thank you all so much for your time today. I hope you found this information helpful and you can join us for a future session. If you have any questions, please visit our website and you can get in touch with our different modules to ask questions that are specific to certain business processes or certain application types. If you're having technical issues with Plus, we also have a Plus customer support team that can help you there. So thank you all so much again, and I hope to see you in a future session. Have a great day, everyone.